Just going through a few articles, quotes, and pictures from this German magazine, The German Girl. And they're just random. They're not necessarily from the issue that I have pictured here. Here's an interesting article from, I think, 1938. And the article discusses how the BDM took 625 girls, including a few from other countries, and traveled to Tyrol, which is in Austria, and they went hiking in the Alps. And these German girls pictured are hiking up a rocky mountain in snow, wearing t-shirts and shorts. It's pretty crazy. Good for them, right? Party German girls. Um, so yeah, it was an interesting article. Here was just an advertisement for Nivea toothpaste, and I think that's still around today. And there's an English translation on top and the German original on the bottom. And so you can see on the bottom from Wikipedia from 1945 to 49, the company's plants were destroyed during and maybe after the war, because after the war, part of the Morgenthau plan was basically dismantle German industry, um, which I think is another example of the fact that German industry or business was not, uh, it wasn't owned by Americans, right? Otherwise, if Americans or foreigners owned it, they wouldn't have destroyed it, but they did. And so anyway, their plants were destroyed, and then most of the intellectual property was stolen uh, up until 49, and maybe that's when foreigners, maybe Jews, took over control of the company, because that's basically what happened at the end of the war. Germans were disinherited, if you will, from all their jobs and land and everything, and it was all taken by foreigners. So he was, and just part of an article, it's not the whole thing. BDM members apparently traveled to England in 1937. I think they spent time with, I think, the Girl Scouts. And apparently, England, if I understand the translation correctly, had a camp, maybe a Girl Scout camp or something like that, somewhere in Germany that they would send girls and to spend time with girls from the BDM. So, anyway, the article just talks about their time in England. And so obviously there was no ill will between the English and Germans. And, obviously there never should have been a war. So, uh, yeah, a lot of the articles in the magazines have to do with sporting events, uh, the women's sports, Olympics, stuff like that, and just staying in shape. It was very important to the Germans to be healthy. And then a lot of them had to do with farming. A lot of the art, just being one with the land, right? The blood and soil. Um, and I guess how to farm and stuff like that. So they were important magazines that provided important information for the people. So here's a quote from Rudolf Hess, if it's translated properly. The original's on top. It says, educate yourself according to the example of the leader who is simply, I think it meant simple, and who remains simple, who is faithful, and who is faithful to his people to the last. So he's speaking to the youth, you are the Germany of the future. Make sure that the Germany of the future is worthy of the leader who Germany has created. Always have the leader in front of you, and you will act right. Um, Hitler said, what shook, well, see, I got two translations there. I'm not sure which one is exactly correct. So I'm going to read the bottom one. What shook us many times this week was the ideological popular creed of a new generation. And more than once here, probably hundreds of thousands are no longer under the pressure of a political rally, but under the spell of a deep prayer. So I guess maybe he's talking about like a spiritual awakening. It wasn't just political rallies anymore. It was a spiritual awakening of the people. So here's a quote from Balder von Chirac. The original's on top there, and one of the translations I have here said, "You should not be in the signs." Well, that doesn't make any sense. I don't remember what. You should not look into the signs that are given to you. That's a bad translation, but anyway, um, don't look at the signs or see the signs of a small covenant, but one great people. You should not use the symbols of a party in it, but to see eternity in it. Flags of the leader are people who are accompanied by the blessing of God. So they're invoking God there, right? Everybody says the Germans weren't, or the leaders weren't Christian, but they were. With this, a firm determination to look at them is them this way and never otherwise. May you receive them. May they be in your young hands. Keep faithful and brave. Keep them all in storms of your life, of your people. That was a pretty bad translation, but something about taking care of your people. So here's just this with some pictures from an article about farming. On the bottom there, it says, fresh, happy, and healthy, the youth of Adolf Hitler. And that's of the two young girls. And then on the right is the young family, and it says, hardworking and satisfied as a settler, happy as a parent. And just to end it here, this is from 1940, and this, I believe, was after the German victory in France. So, anyway, it's an interesting magazine.